Good evening, good night, and it may be good morning. Love Bay community, we are back. It is the Champions Table. I'm your host. I'm humbled to be here, NigelGHunter. Today we got an exciting episode. And this episode is about calling all kings, calling all kings, calling all kings, calling all kings. So what are we talking about this evening on the Champions Table on Love Bay? What we'll be talking about, once again, is an intentional conversation. And tonight's episode is about men building legacy, being providers. Specifically, how can we as men be intentional about creating wealth through real estate? And we have a special guest today, Mr. Gervain Christian. So who is Gervain Christian? He's a realtor and an owner of businesses in both Canada and America. He has a Bachelor of Business Administration and a Master's of Business Administration from American universities. I know one of those universities we are both alma maters at, which is Oakwood University, and I believe he went to University of Southern California for his MBA. His education, skills, and experience creating successful real estate portfolios has proven beneficial when assisting clients to build financial freedom through real estate. Gervain has received numerous awards for his successful track record as a real estate agent. Mr. Christian gives thousands in scholarships annually to students on both sides of the border, both in US and Canada. He's a strong advocate of education and is a co-owner of an educational-based company in the Greater Toronto area. Overseas, Gervain sponsors children who cannot afford the basic needs of food and safety and shelter. He has also contributed both time and money to the building of a school and community in the Dominican Republic. Gervain considers himself a minimalist. We'll get into that. I want to know what he means when he says that. And is known to encourage people to forego expensive items so that they can expand their horizon through traveling. I agree with that. In his personal life, he is a Christian, husband, and father of twin toddlers. All right. And before we get started, as you know, for every Champions Table, what we say is men talk, women talk, but the truth can't lie, and the truth will set you free. Here on the Champions Table, please join me in welcoming Mr. Gervain Christian. What's going on, my brother?
Great introduction, Nigel. Thank you very much.
No problem.
I like the slogan for the show as well.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, men talk, women talk, but the truth don't lie, and the truth will set you free. Yeah, man. How you doing, man? First and foremost, man.
I'm well. It's been a good day.
Good.
Still here at my brokerage.
Yeah.
Realtor. And yeah, looking forward to a great show.
Awesome.
Great conversation.
Sounds good. And was I right about the University of Southern California? That's where you did your
MBA? So I actually went to La Sierra University in Riverside, California, and I worked at UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles. This is back between 2008 and 2010.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
that's dope, man. That's an amazing experience. I know it's a lot different out there in Southern California as opposed to being back here in the GTHA, Greater Toronto area. Yeah,
it's very different. I mean, obviously, the obvious is weather. But I mean, for me, it's. I always knew I was coming back to Toronto just because my family's here, my friends are here. Actually, it really came back because I want to, help my parents with their business, the nursing home business, and also want to get into real estate, which would have been much harder for me in regards to owning real estate as a international in the U.S. at that time.
Right.
I wouldn't get the same perks that I would get here, 5% down, things of that nature.
Interesting. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. So you had the plan of coming back home. That was part of the plan.
Yes, for sure. I love Toronto.
Nice. All right. Back home now. Okay. So once again, folks who are joining us, just let you know this is an intentional conversation and it's a safe space, not only for the person speaking, but also for our listeners to tune in. We will have an opportunity where you can actually, share questions or anything you want to speak to either myself or Jervain about. The number is 437-778-3299. But we'll get to that point. We're not there yet. We're just going to start the conversation with Jervain. And, simple question first, man, just to start it off is, what was your first important lesson you learned about money?
That's a great question. My first important lesson would probably be broken down. I would say it'd be one of two things. One would be the most simple but hardest to do in many cases, which is to save money. Don't spend everything that you get. When you're young, let's say 4 or 5 years old, that's one of the first things that you could teach a young person. And if they actually can master it, it can obviously help them to flourish as an adult. One way of doing that in regards to getting, which would bring me to my second point, is so when I was growing up, I grew up with my grandma, my mom, my dad, obviously, sister. My grandma was living in the house. So I had chores to do. I had chores to do. And what I was doing is I was getting paid $1 a day. Right. So this is
hold on. Break this down. You mean $1? You do the chore that day, you get $1. Or how's it work? $1 a day. Hold on. This
$1 a day.
Income.
$1 a day.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Yeah. So this is in the late 80s, early 90s, right?
Okay.
Not to say that $1 was a lot of money back then, but that's what I was getting. I mean, I was only 4 or 5 years old, really young. So if I did my chores for the week, I'd have $5 at the end of the week. It was easy for me then to save money because, let's say, back at those times, they say I want to get a combo. A combo was $5, right?
Right.
But what made it easy for me to save is that I couldn't fathom working a week and spending that on a Big Mac combo. So it started easy for me.
That $5, is it because you knew what you did to get the $5? Why you?
That's exactly right, Nigel. Yeah, because I'd be like, you do all that work just to spend it on a combo? No, so you save it. And my dad used to call me cheap, but that's because of what I was doing.
Right.
But what it also taught me, which I'm not sure what was my parents and my grandma's focus, but later on in life, is that I had chores to do like everybody else, or like many kids, where you do it, so you don't get in trouble. And then I could do extras so I could earn some money. Now, what that taught me.
This is on top of the 5? On top of the 5?
No. The regular chores are just so you're not in trouble. Right? Just like a normal kid.
You just do it regardless, right?
Yeah, just because you're a kid, you're living in the house,
you
right?
Do it. Yeah.
Although some kids don't have chores these days.
Right.
And then I could do extras to make money.
Right.
Now, what I realized that taught me later on in life is that when I went to high school, there was a lot of people that, let's say, they were in class, they passed class by class by class, passed, and as long as they weren't, like, let's say, failing, they felt like they were good, right? So get 50, 60, get by, and you're doing good enough that you're not in trouble. Learning that at a really young age, that if I want to get more, I have to do more, right? So I know that. Sorry.
It's all good.
So I know that. And then past high school, I'd see young adults. You see a lot of, especially young Black men. You're not in jail, you're not on drugs, you don't have a kid out of wedlock like it was big, like a much bigger deal back in those days, and you feel like you're okay. But I always wanted to do more than just like, I didn't feel like I'm in good standing if I just was not in trouble. So that lesson, although I learned it really, really young, ended up being a great lesson to me to this day. And my grandma, rest in peace. But it was definitely stuck with me to this day.
Wow, that's a gem. That's a gem, bro. That's definitely a gem. So going above and beyond is way more important than just getting by, and taking that concept into not only your day-to-day life and all of the things you do, but also within finances as well, and money. Okay, and wealth. That's dope. I'm glad you shared that with us. All right, we're gonna continue, man. So I got a question. Is wealth just about what you acquire, or is it a mindset? Is wealth just about what you acquire, or is it a mindset, or is it maybe a little bit of both? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's definitely a mindset for wealth, and I guess it would be the type of wealth that we're talking about. Um, in regards to financially, I would say it's a mindset because I believe wealth is in the mind, right? It's not in the pocket.
Right.
So if you have a millionaire mind, even if someone takes the $1 million away from you, in 5 years you'll be back to a millionaire, right? If you don't have a millionaire mind, like we'll see a 19-year-old get paid $100 million to join the NBA, but he's not worth $1 million, so he'll find a ways to get rid of the $100 million as soon as possible because he's not worth that money at that time. But he's in his mind. His mind is he doesn't have $100 million mind. So you'll see how fast they spend it. Lottery winners, same thing. You don't have the mind to hold on to that money that you were given, so you'll get rid of it to get back to where you're used to. And the same thing happens in reverse.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a mindset.
Okay. What's going on, Del Miller? I see you, man. Appreciate you joining us, man. So it's definitely a mindset. I agree with you. I heard something actually this week. I was listening to a couple of things, but one of the a pastor was saying that it's not just about transferring wealth. It's also about transferring the thinking, right? So what is the thinking that goes to acquiring that is really the foundation of transferring wealth, right? And we got to think about all of us, regardless of if we have children or not, but thinking about how are we transferring that thinking so that we can pass on that thinking to our children and also to the young people and to the community. All right. Yeah. Something else I heard, another quote, it says, winning, and we can look at winning however you want to look at it. Winning is a combination of habits, thoughts, beliefs, and actions. And you just do winning. It's a culture, a mindset, a thought process. So those are just a couple of things I took in, and I think that goes hand in hand with what you were saying, because I think from the beginning, it sounds like, to me at least, you were taught this mindset of wealth from an early age. So we're going to have another little conversation. Wealth is meant to be holistic. So what do we mean by that? So we got financial wealth, which is the money. We got the social wealth, which is the status. We got time wealth, which is freedom. And then we got physical wealth, which is being healthy. Let me ask you, based on those four things, how would you rank them from most important to least important? So we got financial wealth, right? Which is the money. We got social wealth, which is the status. We got time wealth, which is the freedom. And then we got physical wealth, which is being healthy.
Well, it's an easy one.
Jeopardy music in there.
Well, the first one I would say is easy because without health, you have nothing.
Okay.
Right? The other two don't really matter if you don't have health. So physical health, I believe, would be by far the most important. Time wealth would be second. I definitely value and I take advantage of my time. Luckily, I'm an entrepreneur, so I could bring up my time how I need to do it. So I could take my wife on multiple vacations, or I could sometimes just go to the creek with my kids during a Wednesday morning and, just be there until I need to. So the time wealth is extremely important to me. After that would be financial wealth, which is also really, really important. Because the one thing I believe, well, out of the four, the one thing that you mentioned that could somewhat buy the other ones, or somewhat get the other ones, is financial, right? With financial, you could be in better health. You can't buy health, obviously. You can't be immortal, but you could get a chef to cook all your meals, right? With financial wealth, you could get a trainer to keep you in shape, right? As long as you're following it. What was the other one? Status. I don't mean that. Everyone knows you can get status with financial wealth. So financial, you get the other three. It's just not the most important. And social, I find social I'll consider the least, because social I find very fleeting.
Let's go there.
leading. I mean, I would say, well, I mean, look what happened yesterday or the day before yesterday. You saw Shannon Sharp get offered $100 million paycheck or payday from whoever it was. I didn't read the whole story.
Right.
But in a snap from whatever allegation from a Jane Doe, that could be taken away. Right? Because his wealth is based on his. Well, I mean, it's not that his wealth is based on just his status. He's built himself into media personality, obviously of a large status, but at the same time, it could go right. We saw Kanye West go from billionaire to millionaire from one anti-Semitic statement.
Right.
I've seen if you want to get really into it, like if you want to go to personal, I've seen people help out a sibling for 30 years, and once on the 35th year they say, I don't want to help you anymore, that sibling will hate more than everybody else that didn't help them at all. Right?
And they'll forget that whole 30 years.
Right. But they'll love the people that didn't help them at all, which is crazy. So even with status, even with personal status, sometimes that could go just like that as well. So not that it's not important, but it's definitely the least.
Yeah. And it's funny because the fact that you say that, when we think of what's happening right now in our worlds, right? Or at least what they portray is that the status, the likes, the followers is, the status wealth seems to be up there at the top, but in reality, it doesn't hold that much weight, does it? So
that's right. Well, in on the opposite end of it, well, you could, especially in today's day and age, you could get status really quickly as well. So you could go quickly and you could get it quickly, right? With one viral video. Well, even got back to Shannon Sharp, right? He had one video with the comedian, I can't remember his name right now, Cat Williams. Cat Williams, and that catapulted him. Obviously, he was big before, but that took him to another stratosphere. So you could get it quickly, you could lose it quickly.
True, very true. All right, wise words. Hope y'all paying attention. So this was a quote that I saw. It says, based on these four things. So we have financial wealth, social wealth, we got time wealth, and we got physical wealth. And it says, be wary of the jobs that lure you with 1 and 2, meaning lure you with financial wealth and social wealth, but rob you of 3 and 4, time wealth and physical wealth. So let's just put it out there. I'm putting it out there to everybody, regardless of where you are. If you're on the continent of Africa, or if you're in the US of A, or if you're in Canada, or if you're in the Caribbean, beware of the job that gives you big money, but no freedom, right? Or offers you big money, but you can't sleep at night because you're thinking about, oh, I gotta answer all these emails before 9 a.m. I'm not saying hard work is not a good thing. I'm saying hard work is a good thing, but there has to be a balance between the time you invest in your work as well as the time you invest in your personal life and your family and the things that are of value. For sure. All right.
And I think we should probably tie into physical wealth, mental wealth too, right?
I'm glad you said
that. Because you can't forget the mental. You can still have your physical wealth, but if you lose your mental, as a matter of fact, your mental might even be more important than the physical, right? Yeah. You could be a very healthy, person that needs mental help. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I mean, I guess as we generations get older, we're starting to really pay more attention to that mental wealth. Mental wealth is extremely important.
Yeah, I'd say they go hand in hand. Mental wealth and physical wealth go hand in hand, for sure. Yeah. Glad you brought that up. Okay, so let's get into some. I guess this is the advice section. So what advice would you give a young man or a young woman? And you kind of talked about some advice that you'd give them. But right now, 2025, young man, young woman comes up to you to help them acquire wealth or some tools to be wealthy. They come up to you, you see them at a conference or something, and they're like, what advice would you give me so that I can acquire wealth or get tools to be wealthy? What would you share with that young person?
Well, going back to some of what I said before in regards to acquiring, the actual financial wealth, I think the first thing you want to do, maybe not exactly in this order, but you want to get educated because you only get and keep what your mind is worth. Right?
Say that one more time, bro. One more time.
Okay. So I think the first thing you should do, you should get educated, because you only get and keep what your mind is worth. So you could chase money, you could get it sometimes even by luck, but you won't keep it unless your mind is worth that money that you're going to get. If you actually get educated first, especially financially educated first, the money is going to come. Right? Doesn't matter if someone steals all your money. Doesn't matter if someone steals your house. It's going to come back because that's what you're worth.
Right. That's powerful.
Thank you.
Get and keep what you're worth. Yeah. So that whole, running after the bag, or let's go get the bag. You know what I'm saying? I think the bag should be first filling this bag up, right? Filling that bag up, you know what I'm saying? And then once that bag is filled, then that bag, the other bag is inevitable that it will come, right? So that's dope.
That's right.
Oh, I like that. Let me see here.
Oh, no, the next thing I would say some more. So the next thing I would say is you want to get a mentor. I think if you get a mentor, whether it's financially or in another aspect, that could save you decades of time. I have a mentor in New York named Ted Wellington. As a matter of fact, my son, his middle name is Theodore. His name is Theodore. My son's name is Ray Theodore Harold Christian. And he's saved me so much time. Like just I couldn't quantify it really. So much time in regards to mistakes that I would have made if I didn't have the information and knowledge that he gave me. So a lot of times people are trying to do something that someone else has already done. And the people that have done it, in many cases, would love to share the information to someone who's willing to take it and act on it. Right? Not someone who's just looking to waste their time. But I mean, someone that's willing to take it and act on it, the likelihood would be more than willing. If you look at groups like, my mom used to be president of the BEPA or other Black organizations, COFP, the Black Lawyer, all those business, all those associations. You have tons of people, vice presidents of RBC, vice president of TD that are Black. You don't even know it, right?
Right.
Like, if you just get around them, you could ask them questions, you could talk to them, shake their hand, and you could get all that information. They might not be your personal mentor, but at least when you see them, or if some of them have books, you can read their books, and they can be your mentor even from afar.
Yeah, that's important.
Oh yeah, mentorship. I'm really big on mentorship because I just see how much time it can save you.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: How did you know he was going to be your mentor? Like, what about him made you say, I want this guy to be my mentor?
In a lot of cases, in this case, and as well as in a lot of cases, it wasn't like a formal thing. It wasn't like, can you sign this contract to be my mentor? Sometimes it could just develop. So he's also a family member of mine, but I wasn't, as a matter of fact, that as close to as I became after I realized we had similar interests. Probably a little bit later in life, probably like in my early or mid 20s.
Right.
So really and truly, I was in a situation where I was looking for advice. I went to him for advice, and it really just took off from there. And I've been close to him or closer to him since that time.
Right.
And he's been more than happy to really help me out whenever I ask him, whenever I talk to him. Definitely every week for sure. And he's just transfers a lot of his knowledge over. He's much older. He's I'm not sure exactly how old he is. Probably in the 70s. He's giving me a 70s years worth of knowledge, especially in real estate, because he's did everything from apartment buildings to own so many properties in New York and New Jersey and Atlanta and Florida, and I wouldn't even go through all the places. So he could give me so much knowledge, right? That I could even learn from a book, especially when you're getting someone who's willing to walk with you side by side, look at the deal, and show you how to get everything done. So
amazing.
That was huge. And then the last thing I said, when you're young, I remember at Oakwood University, right, where we went to school. It's a shame I don't remember her name, but it's Dr. Delbert Baker's wife.
Yeah.
Let's just say Mrs. Baker. I think she's also a doctor, actually.
Susan Baker,
It'll also be Susan Baker.
Yeah.
I remember she said in our freshman year, Moran Hall, one of the keys to doing well in this university is starting strong. Now you go to university, you start strong. You if you get there, and you start off making A's in your first semester, it's easy to maintain that once you see yourself as an A.
Right.
Same thing as like a lot of times if you go to school, like the same kid in grade 9 or the same kid in grade 6 making the A's, once he sees himself as an A, then it's easy to maintain that because he'll do whatever it is to maintain that standard of being an A. Right? The kid that's the most athletic will maintain that. The girl that's the most beautiful will maintain that. So you start strong and it's easy to maintain. So especially when we just get out of school, I would say to work unapologetically, almost selfishly, because once you get into the family and the kids and everything else, you can't really do that. But if you start strong, like when I was really young, I was working all the time. I mean, I didn't have much else to do. I have a wife and I have kids.
Right.
I really started strong, was able to build a foundation, and really and truly, like a lot of the properties I would have bought, like back in, let's say, 2010, if I would have waited, like some people have been just thinking about investing in real estate for 10 years. If I would have waited 10 years later, it would have cost me 2 times that amount to get the same portfolio because I didn't start strong. I didn't act when it was time for me to act. So that's the last thing. Like that, I see a lot of people when you're young 20s, and they're just kind of just laying back, and like, man, once you get the responsibilities, as you know, Nigel, it's a different ballgame.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Big shouts out to Frequency Event Promotions. What up, man? Appreciate the support as well, man, and saying some big things, man. But you're so right, Jermaine. You're so right, man. That whole notion of thinking that you gotta wait to do things is sometimes the thing that hinders a lot of people, because the opportunity is there then. It's like, what are you waiting for, right? You might as well just, in wisdom, of course, but you should jump on the opportunity because you just never know, right? Because 2010 and 2025 are totally different years, and things have changed so much in a short span of time, right? So that's facts, man. That's facts indeed. But back to mentorship for a quick second. I think the important thing to realize is that you got to take it when you see someone who has a wealth of wisdom or knowledge. Take advantage of speaking to that person, reaching out to them, asking those questions, being vulnerable, asking the questions that you need support with, so that you can get that support. Not everybody will help you, but the ones that will help you, as Jervain says, that will save you time, years, right? Years and years of time, right? So
in my case,
decades, right? Right? Definitely. Decades indeed. All right.
There's one thing I don't want to add to that. Is that you have to be prepared to be a student.
Yep.
So you want to talk to someone about being your mentor, but make sure you have your uniform on, right? Make sure you're there with your books. Make sure you're ready to take notes. So a lot of people, if you just go to someone who's successful and you haven't been doing anything, right? You haven't been trying. You're just looking for a handout. Like E.T., our motivational speaker from our school. Are you talking about someone that comes in? Eric, oh yeah, sorry.
Hip hop preacher. Yeah. Go ahead. You said it right.
I should use the acronym. Eric Thomas was saying how someone came up to him and says, "Can I get $5,000 for my idea?" Right? Do you ever heard that video? He's like, $5,000. That's out of nowhere, right? Like,
know what it
you're
is.
Not prepared. Like, you're not prepared. So definitely get yourself prepared to be a student. And a lot of times, even the mentor might find you. In my case, it was almost like that. Like I was a student. I was trying to do a lot of it on my own at the time. I was looking for help while I was actively working in real estate already. And I was prepared to get it, and it was clear. It made it clear to I need to stay close to this person.
Right.
So, don't just go asking. You want to get yourself ready.
Right. So that you're prepared to receive whatever they give you, right?
That's right.
That's facts. Yeah. That's good. Good stuff. Yeah. So I got another quote that I heard. It says, before acquiring wealth, and it's connects directly to what we were just talking about. Before acquiring wealth, learn to manage your resources. The principle of management comes before wealth. And that was something that I was like, wow, I never really thought about that, but it makes so much sense in the sense, and we've seen it all the time. You talked about some folks as well, in the sense of we see that person who they get drafted into whatever it is, baseball, football, soccer, whatever it is, and they get these millions of dollars, right? And it's in their mind, they're thinking, I got this money, it's not going anywhere, so I'm gonna just spend it like it's a tap of water. I can just turn it on and spend, have an entourage of 50 guys, and then bring everybody with me and travel in private jets for 30 grand to one place and 30 grand back. Do all these things, never catch up to them. But the key in that is that they never knew how to manage that money, right? And they didn't manage it properly, right? So in not managing it properly, you're spending all this money, and before you know it, right? We've heard those stories before. But on the reverse, right? If you learn how to manage, say, for example, $20, right? And you have a system in how you manage that $20, you can use that same system for $20, for $200, for $2,000, for $20,000, for $200,000, for $2 million, for $2 billion, as long as you have that system in place. So the key, keep it in mind, is management. It's management. All right. We're gonna continue. So
one thing I would like to add, one point I'd like to add to that is that sometimes you got to be grateful for not receiving things too early, right? Because it's not to even talk bad about the basketball players. About, because 80% of them are broke by the time they're 40. The main issue is that these guys are getting large amounts of money. Let's say like Kobe Bryant was 18. Right. Luckily, Kobe Bryant already comes from a rich family, so he's in a different situation. But most majority of them are not from, not a rich family, but his dad's obviously a basketball player and everything else.
Right.
But many of them don't come from that. Don't have any guidance. So a lot of times people judge these people that make these large amounts of money and how did they blow it. And if it was me, I would have never did this and that, whatever. But you forget that how you thought at 18. Like some people haven't finished high school at 18. And some of them are 22, 25. Like right now, I'm 39. My mind at 25 was much different than my mind now. It would be much different. So, like sometimes if you have a gift, and sometimes you think that your successes are coming in too slow, could be a blessing. It's coming in, so it's coming in. It's coming in at the right time. I feel like my wealth grew as my mind grew, and I didn't get what I was supposed to get until I was supposed to get it. Right. I mean, if I was this, I guess, financially or successful or in real estate at, let's say, 25 or at 18, 19, when these guys were getting it, it would have been a mess. It would have been a complete mess.
I hear you, bro.
Got to be grateful that you get it on God's timing.
Yeah, for sure. 100%, bro. 100%. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, man. Okay, so let's get into our the convo now. So how important is acquiring real estate? And how does acquiring real estate really relate to acquiring wealth?
I think it should be the cornerstone of everyone's portfolio. But obviously that's coming from a real estate agent, right? But let me tell you,
coming from the guy with the Remax sign in the back, right?
Right. So let me tell you with my unbiased opinion. Not because I was actually an investor before I became an agent.
Okay.
I fell in love with real estate via investing, and then I didn't want to do anything else, so I just went all into real estate. But when you look at, we're talking about generational wealth, right? Generational wealth with real estate. When you look at passing down generational wealth, I don't see any other vehicle that could compare to real estate, right? So when you look at the top 10 companies in the world, right? You look at Amazon's there, Apple, Google, let's say Microsoft, or Tesla's there now. Oil,
sorry,
the big.
That's a blur. There's a blur there. I heard something.
Okay, wait, let's see. Talk about Tesla, but all these companies that are there, right, in the top 10 for net worth right now, top 10 companies. A lot of these companies weren't even around when I was a kid, right? I was born in '85, so a lot of these companies weren't around then. And if we want to pass down generational wealth, by the time my grandkids are 18, these 5 companies will be replaced by another 5 companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say, oil and gas. Let's say we get off our dependence of oil and gas, and that might go, right? Tech, obviously, tech is here today, gone tomorrow. There's companies that will replace them and such. But when my grandkids are 18, landlords will still be collecting rent.
Yep.
So you buy that house now, you buy that condo now, you buy that property now, and although some people you can make obviously billions in building a company or investing in some of these companies, even going Bitcoin or gold or whatever it is. But a lot of these things, they come and then they go.
Right.
Like I said, I'm not that old, and majority of the companies on the top 10 weren't around when I was a kid.
Right.
And I'm 39. So that's the best vehicle for creating generational wealth. And you have that thing paid off. Let's say if you want to take the traditional route, 25 years, you pass it down to your kids, your grandkids. They'll be collecting rent, mortgage free, continually.
Right.
Continually, right? So, I don't see anything else that compares to real estate.
Right. When you put it that way, it makes sense. When you put it that way, it makes definite sense. Yeah, I hear that. Okay, so how do they do that? Like, what would be the first step to acquiring real estate in this day and age? 2025. What would you say, like, to somebody who says, yeah, I want to own something, I want to eventually acquire, properties? How do they go about doing that? Let's do this baby step 1, step 2. Like, what does that look like? Yeah.
So I would say the main thing that I find in people that actually start building a real estate portfolio is like the will to do it. Not always the money. I see people with a lot of money that never buy a house. I see people that only make a little bit of money, but if they have the will to do it, they'll figure out a way to do it. So you want to do, at least, I don't know if you can develop it, but you just at least have the desire. They're bringing desire, as they say in that book there. So at least build a real estate portfolio.
Thank you, Carisha. We appreciate it. Appreciate you listening.
Yes, yeah. So, I guess the more technical term is that you definitely want to go and get a pre-approval from a mortgage broker, right? And this is a mistake that many people make. They say, you know what, I'm not in a situation to get a mortgage. I have a credit card I have to pay off first. I have to pay off my student loans. I have to, I don't know, I'm late on a phone bill. There's so many different reasons not to at least try to go and get the pre-approval, right? I always tell you, just go. If you can't get pre-approved for an amount right now, the mortgage broker will then tell you what you need to do to be able to buy property, right? They'll say, you need to pay down this, you need to increase your income by this, you need to get a partner, you need to partner with your brother or sister or friend. You at least need to take the first step, which is just to get the desire to go and at least talk to the mortgage broker and see what you could afford.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That would be the first step.
That makes sense.
The next step after that, after you get yourself in a position to be able to afford real estate. As a matter of fact, somewhere in between that, you might be talking to an agent too. Just so if you have an agent with the mind of a teacher or even just a mentor, they should tell you, okay, what you need to do. Like let's say, I could tell you now in today's market, if you want to get something in Toronto, you get a studio right now for maybe $400,000, right? So at least you know what to aim for to go and get. After that, they're going to tell you what you need to do to get that pre-approval. You get the pre-approval, and then you go and shopping with your real estate agent. What I tell people to do right now is that if you could afford either $400,000, $350,000, something to get into the real estate market, in 2025, and this is more Toronto and US focus. I know this is international broadcast, but
right.
I mean, I'm not 100% sure about what's happening I mean, how it would be in the Caribbean or in Africa right now. But our opportunities right now in regards to interest rates, in regards to the economy right now in Canada and the US, is that we're in a state of declining interest rates, and prices haven't taken off yet, right? Especially in the Greater Toronto area. So the time to buy is really now. Now, if you could, now people might say, "Oh, what might happen with the economy and the tariffs and everything else?" Let's say the market goes down a little, right? Let's say you buy a property of 400,000, and the market goes down. Let's say by the end of the year to 350, right? If you're not selling, it's not really affecting what you're doing, right?
Right.
So I mean, let's say you may have lost the opportunity to possibly buy it at 350. You didn't time the market just right. What's the alternative? You're approved of 400,000. The 400,000, which is at the bottom of the market right now, the market takes off by, let's say, 10%, right? So now that 400,000 is 440,000. So now you can't buy, and now you're trying to chase the market up. And in Toronto's market, getting the market increasing by 25%, 30% is not irregular, right? So 25% on 400,000 would be, now that $400,000 condo is 500,000 next year. So now you're out, and now, I mean, you might be almost doomed to this renting for the rest of your life because you didn't make that decision at the time when you should have, right? You're trying to time it at the bottom. So the I guess the con of possibly not acting at a time like this when it's declining interest rates, the price haven't taken off yet. To trying to time the market and possibly taking off, and we see a light fire is like that's a generational con. So that's a generational almost punishment. Where
so are you saying, just to jump in for a quick second, you're saying for those folks who, because I know a lot of people, I hear them say, you know, I'm gonna save up this particular amount, then do all those things. Are you saying, yeah, keep saving, but while you're saving, look and see what you can afford, what kind of approval you can get? You're saying to do those things simultaneously is what you're saying.
Simultaneously, yes. And I want to even put more effort into talking to the mortgage broker first. The reason being is that you could, like, it's good to try and save to kind of get a bigger house or something of that nature. The only problem with that, when you're in a market like a major metro, if you're living in Toronto, if you're living in, you know, New York, LA, Paris, London, places like this where things can spark fire, is that it's extremely hard for people to save as fast as the market moves. Right?
Got it.
So let's say right now, the average house in Toronto right now is about 1.1 million, right? So the market was to go up by, let's say, 10%, right? That'd be $100,000. Now, the time that you're taking to then try to save up to get that house at 1.1, the house is now over 1.2.
Right.
It's hard to save as fast as the market will move. You're better off getting, like, you don't always have to get, like, especially a first-time home buyer, sometimes they want to get their dream house as their first house, and it just doesn't happen that way. Right? Sometimes you just want to get in because moving up is much easier than the first-time buyer. The first-time buyer or the buyer with nothing to sell is the hardest. That's the hardest place to be because, let's say if you, a misconception that a lot of people have is that the average house right now, let's say the average detached house in Toronto is about 1.6, 1.7 million. So people think, how is everybody affording these houses at 1.7 million? The problem with that is that it's just not the case, not reality. People aren't going to the closing table with 1.7 million. It's just that they bought the condo at 600,000, right? They sold that, they bought the townhouse at 900,000. So they only jumped up by about 300,000. They sold that townhouse, they bought the semi for 1.3 million. They sold the semi and they bought the detached for 1.6 million. That's how people are able to afford those properties. It's not, they're not coming from out of school by a detached. It doesn't happen unless you have parents that are really helping you out, and that's really not, that's not the average case. So I would say, get into the market, and then you can even save on top of that, because when you have something to sell, it's much easier to buy more real estate. You see people all the time talking about the first property was the hardest one to buy, right? Because after you're actually in the market, it's not as hard anymore.
That's a gem. That's a gem. So build on it. Build on it. Keep building on it. Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Build on those properties. Okay, that's dope. That's a good way of looking at it. That's a good way of looking at it. Okay, so what would you say? And we were, I guess we were talking about first time home buyers to a certain extent. What I'll say as well, and for folks who are listening, we'd like to hear from you. We're glad that that the message that was shared about us talking about generational wealth, seeing brothers talking about it. Yeah, it's important, man. We got to talk about it for sure, for sure. But the phone number is 437-778-3299. If you have any questions for our brother Gervain Christian, please put them in here. I'll be sure to ask them once I see them. Yeah, put it out there to the global community. The number once again is 437-778-3299. So tap in if you need to, and to join this conversation with us. All right. Yeah. So we're gonna keep going. Thank you for that. That was a big thing. So start with something. It doesn't have to be your dream house, but start with some type of property and then just keep building on those properties. Because as you build on it, you'll gain more wealth and more buying power. That's a gem. So in our current environment, 2025, and you kind of answered this already, but still we're going to ask the question yet still. In our current environment, what advice would you give new home buyers? In 2025, we're talking about tariffs. We talking about Trump talking wild stuff all the time, trying to fight with China, who's been around here for 5,000. Did you hear that? That was the funniest thing I had. I got to share this. So I was listening to something, and it was a gentleman, I believe it was one of the ambassadors from China, and they were asking me, how do you feel about, the U.S. The U.S. What's it called? Not doing trades with the U.S. He was like, he doesn't care. I was like, huh? He goes, we've been around here for 5,000 years, and our the Chinese empire has been here 5,000 years, way before any of these countries that are right now superpowers have been around, right? And one point that they really made, which I think I've seen it a lot on social media as well, is that China is built on workers, right? They have workers. They got people in there who are making the things, right? And so their environment or their economy is built on workers, which it's a game changer, right? If you're the one building the thing and shipping it out, you have you have the power, really and truly, right? Because if you say this and you say, oh, I'm not doing it anymore, that Louis Vuitton bag ain't gonna get to that person. You know what I'm saying? That Balenciaga shoe ain't gonna get to that person. I'm very happy to see our young men speaking on these platforms. Thank you, Karina. We appreciate you. Yeah. So
yes, thanks.
Yeah. So yeah, man, for new home buyers, man, what would you say to them in this interesting time,
Yeah. Speaking of the time, I mean, I went to the Wall of China a few years back.
Yeah.
Actually quite a while ago.
Yeah.
And the Wall of China, I think it was like a 2,000 year idea or project. It took like 2,000 years to complete it. Right?
Wow. Yeah.
So a big thing that a lot of people are looking at, I feel I could be wrong, I feel with this China and US situation, is that obviously US always think about US and the strength, right? But there's also a toughness that's going to be with China that they may not be able to compare to, right? Going back to the 5,000 years, right? Both countries are going to hurt, right? US is going to feel some hurt. China's going to feel some hurt, right? I think the difference is not going to be in strength; it's going to be in toughness. What you could take,
right?
And what you could take is not something that the US wants to go down with China, because when things get hard for US, Trump is going to be out, right? He'll be like, I'm broke and I need a change, right? I mean, someone runs on change every 4 years in America, right? Change, we need change,
right?
Where in China, they're going to be like, we're going to eat rice for the next 10 years. And that's it. We'll just outlast you. We're fine with that. And the leader of their country will be commended. I mean, we're going to go through tough times for the next, let's say, 4 years. What's 4 years?
Right.
What's 4 years to people who implement 2,000-year ideas?
Yeah, yeah.
4 years. Because I mean, it's going to be really hard to compare that. But okay, so let's go into how it's going to affect your real estate. Still, to the first-time home buyer, I would still give the same advice, because real estate only tends to be harder to buy later, whether the prices are up or the prices are down. When the prices are up and the rates are low, where the prices are down and the rates are high, it just becomes harder to get into later on.
Right.
So I would say still get in early. A big reason why it becomes harder to get into later on is that, let's say in 1985, right? The average price of a home was about $109,000, but the average household income was about $54,000, right?
Wow.
So about 2 times the average household income. Right now, don't quote me.
Good old days, boy. I tell you.
The good old days. The good old days. So right now, 2025, I think in the GTA right now, the average household income is about somewhere in the 90s thousands, right?
Right.
But the average price is 1.1 million.
Jeez.
So we're over 10 times the average household income.
Right.
This is a major reason why housing only tends to become more harder to buy later. Whether the interest rates are up, whether interest rates are down, incomes are just not going to keep up with housing prices. So if you could buy now, don't worry about if it's going to be $25,000 less later on, right? It's better to get in because you'll make hundreds of thousands rather than trying to try to time for the 25,000, right? So and then the next thing is that, like, we're going to see some people that don't buy in 2025, then in 2030, but they're going to be protesting at City Hall here in Queens Park, talking about affordability, housing affordability. When you could have bought, this is the perfect blend for a buyer right now. Right. You had 5,000 homes sell last year. There's 23,000 on the market, right? Look at that ratio. So you have options to choose from. There's no bidding wars and stuff like that. It's best to go and buy now. But like I said, like in regards to the housing affordability, like it's going to be like in 2030, there's going to be a lot of regrets for people to go look at 2025 and be like, why didn't I buy at that time? There'll be a lot of regrets. So don't be that first time home buyer that's trying to now buy at 2 times the price in 2030. It's better to act now and stop talking. I mean, I would say, we could the big political theme is people always talking about housing affordability, right? So you go down to Queens Park, you talk about making houses affordable, right? I would say just look at the optics. I wouldn't say it's a waste of time, but just look at the optics. The people you're talking to there at Queens Park, the politicians, they all own homes.
Yeah.
Right. So you think they work to buy $1 million home to implement
make it easier for everyone to get one?
Drop to 500,000.
Right. No.
Right. NDP or Democrats or conservatives, they all own homes. All the people you're talking to own homes.
Right.
So a huge reason why the prices for homes keep getting more expensive is because the people that are making the policies own homes. Right. They're not renting.
Right.
So I mean, it's just going to keep going up and up and up. It's just common sense. Right? I mean, it's not always going to go in a straight line up. They might do something to make it pause for a little bit or make it go temporarily down. But because I mean, if you're not a seller, the market going down temporarily doesn't affect you, right?
Right.
If you buy a property in 1990, you don't sell till 2040. You don't care what the price is at 2030, 2020, and 2010. You're not selling at that time.
Yeah.
So this I mean, even with these the Mark Carney prefab homes that we've been talking about, right, to make houses more affordable. Even if it does come to fruition, at that time you're gonna have to then act. You're still gonna have to take action when the time comes.
Right.
Because the people that take action and buy these prefab homes, when it's time to resell, they're not talking about affordability anymore. Right? They're talking about affordability when they're buying.
Right.
I've been in real estate since 2012. I've never had a seller come and tell me, how can I sell this for the most affordable price? That never happens.
Right.
It's always going to those people that buy
bang for their buck.
People that are buying on affordability are not talking about affordability once they become a seller, and then they're no longer in the protest. They're no longer in the affordability protest once they become an owner.
Yeah, that's facts. That's good. That's a very, very, very good point. For sure. Okay, I'm gonna jump in with some gems. I got some gems, guys. Okay. So I found this on Instagram though, and it's a book. So a gentleman was talking about learning the principles of wealth from the Jewish nation. Take it in, take it in. All right, learning the principles of wealth from the Jewish nation. And so this person said there were 7 keys of enduring wealth of a people. That's the book called. The book is called The Jewish Phenomenon by Stephen Silbinger. All right. And it's the 7 keys to enduring wealth of a people. All right. So thoughts about money. This is how the Jewish nation thought about money. And it's based on a verse by the name that goes Proverbs 13:22. It goes, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. That's what the verse says. So what are these gems? Gem number 1, they prioritize generational wealth and avoid single generation consumption. I'm going to say that again. They prioritize generational wealth and avoid single generation consumption. So they're not consumers. They are about building and building upon the wealth. Okay. Number 2, money is a tool to empower the next generation. Money is a tool to empower the next generation. Number 3, they gave assets as gifts. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Did you hear that? They gave assets as gifts. So you're getting married, they are giving you money and stocks, okay? Not the Tupperware, okay? Not the plate set. They are giving you money and assets, okay? So they gifted wealth to their loved ones, giving wealth like stocks and cash. And then number 4, they expected to be wealthy, right? The pride of building wealth. So they saw it as very important, as building wealth being something that they valued very important. And then number 5, they use their pain and fuel for success and not an excuse. They use their pain and fuel for success and not an excuse. What does that mean? I know. Let me say this. I'll put this out there. It's true that we as a people have faced a lot of oppression. Yes. Have we faced a lot of racism? Yes. Have they created laws to try to keep us from gaining property or land and all these things? Yes, all these things have happened. But what I'm saying is, regardless of those things happening, yes, do we want to change laws to make sure that they are fair and give everybody the opportunity to gain wealth? Most definitely. That is something that we will continue to fight for. We will continue to fight for. But in fighting, thank you, Miss Jen. Gems for real. All right. Thank you so much, Miss Jen. We appreciate you supporting and watching. Much love. Yeah. So these things, right? Regardless of us going through these things and having these things, we still need to strive to build and keep building irregardless of the situation. And how do we do that? We do that, yes, individually, we're motivated, but as a collective, right? So wealth is easier to gain when you work as a collective rather than working as an individual. And I think they said that quote before. You know, you can go fast somewhere by yourself, but you can go a lot further if you go together, right? So that also applies to wealth. And then were those the 5? Oh yeah, number 6. Wait a minute. Okay, so I got a couple of things. So this is something that you can do on a day-to-day basis, okay? So for those who know what I'm talking about, seek first the kingdom, all right? Matthew 6:33, that's the first one. Number 2, sow frequently, meaning invest in good things on a regular basis. Yes, unity is strength, Karina, for sure. All right. And then spend feasibly, meaning you're not overspending, you're spending very feasibly, right? Number 4, save fundamentally. So keep saving fundamentally. And then secure the future, meaning you're planning ahead and you're securing things in the present for the future generations. And then savor fully, meaning if you're going to experience life, experience it to the fullest. But in order to do that, you have to do all those things before that, right? savor fully, and then the last one is set apart the forbidden things. What are the forbidden things? And some people don't believe in this concept, but I'm going to share it anyway. The whole concept of tithing. All right, it's been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. For those who are from the believing sense, we give to God. Not that He needs our money, but it's a principle of obedience, right? So when we obey God or we give to God, it's showing that we obey Him, but we also trust Him to do what He needs to do with our finances. So those are just some of the gems that I've learned. I'm sharing with you, so that we as a people need to become more investors than consumers. That is big facts, Karina. We definitely, as a people, need to be more investors than consumers, because I don't know what the number is. I think that what we consume about almost $1 trillion. I think about $1 trillion as a people. Yeah. Imagine if we invested that $1 trillion. Like that's definitely investing power right there. $1 trillion. And if you're gonna invest,
so when you talk about
go ahead. No, and if you're gonna I'll put this out there. I'll put this out there for folks who are not thinking about it, but I'm putting it out there for you. If you have not yet gone to the continent or to the Caribbean or these places that we have left to come to, these places like North America and America and all these other places, think about reinvesting in your homeland before you think about investing in where you are right now. Just putting it out there. And even if it's not your homeland, you can still invest in other places like Africa, the continent of Africa. There's many countries that you could invest in and buy land and buy property there. They want you to come back. Matter of fact, they want you to come back and invest and bring your businesses there. And also investing in the Caribbean, going back to the Caribbean and giving back to the places where you were raised and grew. And, this whole notion, I'm just putting it out there. I think it's a mind shift now. This whole notion of, leaving the countries of birth and coming to the land of milk and honey. I say that in quotations, or the land of opportunity. Yes, this is the land of opportunity. We are blessed to be in Canada and America and all these UK and all these other places. But a part of that blessing and a part of having received that opportunity is also to bring that opportunity back to where you came from. Just my opinion. You don't have to take it. But Jervain, you had some things to share as well.
Yeah, the first point you talked about with consumption, right? When the Jewish thing you're saying there, when you go like to the Jewish areas, to say in Toronto, like Baptist and Shepherd, and you see like a lot of these these young boys like that are dressed like the same blue suit every day, right? Top hat every day, right? That goes somewhat into my intrigue with minimalism. Is that if you actually took from the Black community the time that people spent thinking about what to wear, going shopping for what to wear, money they spend on their clothes. These young boys are wearing the same blue suit for the rest of their life. Not the same blue suit. They probably have 20 of them. But they don't have to think about that. They're not thinking about what to wear tomorrow. They're not thinking about they're not going shopping. I mean, they just keep buying in different sizes, right? I mean, that saves a lot of time and a lot of money just in that one principle alone. Right. Just minimizing your clothing, right? They just so I mean that's something I actually really find admirable about a lot of the young men, the Jewish young men there that I see. You'll have a lot more to invest if you're not spending it on other things. You'll have a lot more time to invest if you're not spending it on other things. But I think what Steve Jobs said is that so when he came back to Apple, right? He said the main thing that catapulted them to the next level is what they didn't do, right? Not what they did. He took the whole catalog and shrunk it to just a couple things, and just perfected that, right? So sometimes we have to look at our time, what we spend our time on, and even just a little bit of time every day. You do like a time audit for yourself. Go through your day and write down what you're doing every 15 minutes. Do it for like a day or two, or let's do it for a week. You see, you waste a lot of time. Right. Even like somebody could waste an hour just thinking about what to wear. Right. You can waste 2 hours on social media that you don't really think you're doing unless you actually do a time audit. Right. So because they're not into all those, or even like the Amish and stuff like that, they're not into all those different distractions. Right. they have more time to think about where to invest, or
Right.
the land to buy, or whatever else they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So think about money investing. Think about time investing. Where are you investing your time?
Yeah, that's facts. That's facts. Thank you for that. That's a gem. Where are you investing your time? Where are you investing your money? And it's not that you don't have it, it's where are you putting it, right? Where are you allocating those things, right? And sometimes it's a time for a shift and putting things where they need to go as opposed to where that you want them to go. Yeah. So once again, Jervain, Christian, we appreciate you coming on the Champions Table here in the Love Bay community, sharing your gems of wisdom, giving us some practical things that we can do right now, like on this day-to-day basis to really improve our lives from a not just from a mental sense, from a mindset sense, but also from a financial sense. So I'm just going to share something. So something big happening. The Voice of the Millennials presents Be the Light 2025 Youth Summit. This is happening Saturday, July 12th at 2 p.m. at the Humber Valley United Church. And it's free tickets on the Eventbrite. I posted something today about that, and I'll post it again. This will be happening in July, but I'm just putting it out there now for the young people that are looking for somewhere to go. This is an event that you should be at. Once again, as we say all the time, men talk, women talk, but the truth never lies, and the truth will set you free. Jervain, once again, thank you for being here. The Champions Table today. We will see you again next Wednesday. Love Bay community. We love you. See you soon. Peace.